This is More Than Reality podcast, where we dive into all things faith, family, and marriage and share that there is so much more than the reality that you see on the surface. Welcome to More Than Reality with Adam and Danielle Busby.
Hello.
Hi.
It is Adam and Danielle Busby, and this is More Than Reality podcast.
If you didn't know, because it just said it. Oh, geez. I just dropped these cards, these Connect cards that we do every week, all over the floor. I tried to shuffle them, but...
if you're watching on YouTube, you saw that.
Oh, you did?
Because you did recording? It during the intro.
Nice.
Someone's laughing at you.
It's a little bit of real reality, of More Than Reality. The beginning of the
You
episode.
know what's real reality
is what?
Me getting home today to our electricity off.
Oh, it's on.
It is on, yes.
My bad.
Yeah, I get home today. I was up at Good Ranchers and went to Good Ranchers, went to get a haircut. I'm like, okay, I can get home and get some stuff done. I walk in and it just feels off in the house. I'm like, what's going on?
I had turned a lot of the lights off except that lamp.
And so I walked over into the bathroom and I hit the light and nothing comes on. I'm like, what the heck? And it's rainy today, so I'm like, there's no way this is enough rain for
the power.
Like in our neighborhood, because where our neighborhood is in the grid, it's close to like a fire station, and so typically those are, high priority areas that you want to keep up, and so like our power very rarely goes out.
Yeah,
and so I texted Danielle. I was like, hey, our power's out. She's like, crap, we changed power companies. Because normally
it's just auto pay.
Our life is so hectic. Like we have to put our bills on auto pay because if you don't, we'll forget because it's so fast paced. Everything's going on. Our weeks get away from us. And so Danielle just set up this new account with this new energy company.
I'm going to give a shout out to Energy Ogre. I think that's what it is.
Energy Ogre.
It's like a...
Not sponsored, but they definitely saved us a lot of money.
Dude, so much money. I didn't know about this, but apparently everybody around here knows about Energy Ogre and no one's ever shared the details with me because our electric bill is so high. And,
because our house runs like a business because we both work. I mean, for the most part, we work from home, day to day. I mean, I go to Good Ranchers a couple times a week or a few times a week. The house is never just
shut down unless we're out of town.
No, but
it's just always on.
When I'm not there, I'm here working and I'm in my office and I'm sending out assets and stuff off of my computer. And so we're just always here. So it runs like a business runs. But our energy consumption is way higher than all our friends. And towards the end of the year last year, I was like, my gosh, our electric bill is ridiculous. It's $1,200 a month,
babe,
or more.
I'm glad that's how much you think it was.
It was higher.
Yeah,
it was definitely higher,
especially in the summer. It got really high.
I mean, on low months, it was way higher than that. And then she just switched over to this new company, and then I got the first bill in. I saw come in the email. I'm like, is this right? She's
it was literally
because we didn't
we
haven't renegotiated our energy cost or whatever percentage or whatever and so long.
Whatever that meant. The Energy Ogre saved, and so it just switched to this new company.
It saved us $1,000 a month.
Yeah, I mean it was literally a third of our bill.
Yeah, I feel like I got a pay raise.
But it's also the winter months, which is usually a lot cheaper anyway. But still, so we just
air conditioner isn't having to work as hard.
We just got that new bill, and I guess I literally had not set up anything, and I was just waiting for the thing, and I'm just so used to it just getting paid. And it was my bad.
So I'm sitting on the couch.
Set it up yet.
I guess I'll read. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I just
no power in here. I'm
glad you brought this up though, because it really shows how much you need me.
Yeah, I get home, I have to go to the bathroom in the dark.
Oh, wah. You had your phone on and you sat in there, regardless if you had power or not. You were on that phone for at least 30 minutes.
Well, I had to go in the bathroom and just keep the door wide open with the window light. Good thing I was the only one here.
That you were in our bathroom. At least it's still part of the bathroom.
Yeah.
Hopefully you weren't in the half bath where it's hi, living room over here. Anyway.
So that's our life.
Yeah. So let's get on with these Connect cards. You're going to pick one first.
But today on the podcast, we're going to actually talk about reality TV.
Ooh,
and
spicy.
What it's like and like the whole, like how it came about and all that kind of stuff. So,
and how I see right through a lot of things on TV. How I see right through a lot of things on
yeah, it's funny.
TV.
We have a completely different perspective now on reality TV. So I'm pulling a Connect card right now.
So every episode we do these, I ask Adam a question, he asks me a question, and we pull them from these cards. So what's my question?
Oh, this is for you. I was sitting there thinking, what is a memory we share that you'll never forget?
I mean, that's...
Is it spicy?
No, it's whenever my
think of some
flashlight
spicy-
died on our honeymoon.
I can think of some spicy ones. No, one you haven't told yet.
Well, that wasn't the
We've
question.
told
That's
that
not
story.
the question. That's not the question.
We've already told that story in the podcast.
So what's one question, one memory that I'll never forget
It's
of
funny.
us?
Like, all the spicy memories come to
Okay.
my mind.
That's not, you want to know where my mind's gone? One memory that I think I'm still mad at you for.
Oh, gosh.
When you threw a cockroach on me in the bathtub. I'm still mad at you. I'm still not over that because then you went and bought our children rubber cockroaches, about 50 of them in a bag.
I still have a bunch.
I know. And I still see them around the house or outside.
Danielle's definitely allergic, afraid of cockroaches.
Yes. And so one night, like it's usually always like when the house gets like Terminex or like whatever bug spray, like every quarter or like whatever they do. And I'm like, my tub time is like my don't talk to me, don't come in the bathroom. It's like my Zen time. And I'm in the tub and kind of like leaning back and I can see something like peripheral vision. And I like look over and there's a roach crawling across the bathroom floor, not by me, like across the floor from me. And I'm like, were you in the room?
No, you yelled for me.
I screamed. I was like, ah! I screamed like, this thing's going to kill me. This roach is going to kill me. So
Danielle's in the bathtub and I walk in and I see it.
No. You walk in like I'm screaming at you to come get in the tub with me is what you're thinking. And that's not the case.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, Danielle's in the tub. She's ready.
Yeah. I'm screaming your name. And
I need you. When is that ever?
So when you need to get a cockroach, that's when I scream your name like that. So he comes in and then it's almost like, I need you to do this, but I know you're not going to do it in a way where you can't.
Because I can't help myself.
You just can't. He can't help himself but be a little jerk. So part of me's like, I can't do it by myself. Like that is one thing I like literally like thinking of a roach right now. Like I have chills. Like it literally just, I don't know. I don't know why God even created them. I don't know why. They're just disgusting. There's no purpose.
So like I stepped on it and then before I was going to like go to pick it up, I was just going to mess with her. And this was.
No, stop. It's my story.
Complete fluke.
No, it's not. I know you.
It was.
He walks in and I'm
myself by surprise.
I'm like, there's a roach. And he's like, Danielle. And I'm like, get the roach now. He walks over there and like steps on it or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like sitting up in the tub and I'm just like, gosh, I'm like stressing out like right now. And he goes to like pick it up and he picks it up with the tentacle. What is that thing called? Antenna, whatever. He picks it up. And
that was not
it on me.
That was not how it was.
Yes, it was.
I was out. No. So I reached down. If you're watching this on YouTube.
You asked me the question.
But let me defend myself. No, like I reached down and it was like so fast. Like I was just gonna act like I was grabbing it with my finger and I was gonna like act like I was throwing it over to her before I picked it up. And so whenever I reached down, my fingers couldn't have done this. Could not have done this if I tried. But I just reached down and the tips, I wedged it between my fingernail and my fingertip and my middle finger. and I caught it perfectly. And my fingers closed. And whenever I did like this,
that thing flew
straight into the bathtub.
Not in the bathtub, right in front of me, like on my chest, like right there.
I could not have done this if I tried.
Adam, way to make yourself sound Superman, but that was not. You picked that thing up and flung it on me so that you could laugh.
It caught me by such a surprise because I was not expecting it.
You had zero sympathy for
because I just started laughing.
He started laughing and I screamed. I don't say the F word often, but I screamed that F word so loud. Not to him, just really loud. And I literally thought I was going to have a heart attack. Like I am, like my heart, what is my heart rate right now? I'm thinking, were you processing that moment of that roach flinging up just as close as this microphone is right here? I'm still so mad. I'm not going to forget this memory. And then he has the audacity to go buy fake cockroaches and place them around the house and give them to our children.
Because so
that they can torment.
Because they're not scared of them. Well, Ava is. Because they like bugs and they like lizards.
I don't mind most bugs and stuff. It's just a roach. They're gross.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes.
So Danielle's going to pick one.
I got a little bit heated.
You got to admit, if y'all were watching that, it'd have been pretty funny.
I don't even want to look at you right now. I'm still mad.
Pick a card.
Do you think that we would have been friends in high school?
Probably not.
Way to answer that quick.
I don't know. Like I was friends with pretty much. Nah, we probably would have been. We wouldn't have been friends. We would have been like acquaintances, not friends. We would have been acquaintances. I don't know. Like I was like,
what year in high school are we talking? Should I add a year? I
kind of like transcended.
Anyway.
I transit. Yeah, for sure. I was a year ahead, but I kind of like crossed over a lot of different groups. I was like friends with like a lot of different groups of people at school. So, I mean, we would have been friends. Like I was friends with a lot of people.
You mean like you'd be like, "Hey, beautiful."
No.
You only saved that for like the one and only special moment with me. You never said that to any other girl before.
No, I've never said that to another girl.
We're about to fight again.
What I said, I've never said that.
Quivering lips, and
I've never said that to another girl.
You've never said that to another girl before me.
I don't think I have actually. Saved it for you.
And the cockroach.
I don't know. I mean, we wouldn't have been friends, but
well, we were great apart.
We would have been friends, but not like hang out like all the time friends.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But I mean, like most of the people that I hung out with were like either people that I did sports with in high school, people that I did sports with, or people that I went to church with. But then I was also friends with. I don't think there was really anyone that I wasn't just like cordial with or not friends with. Kind of friends with everybody. I didn't have any enemies, I don't think. So today, I do now. Only people out there cockroaches at, apparently.
No, I'm just saying in like the public world.
So today we just figured like we'd kind of like cracked the surface probably 5 or 6 episodes back whenever we were at the NICU, and it was kind of where, well, a little bit before the NICU, because that process had started like very close before the babies were born, how all this reality TV stuff started. And
so we're getting into the like topic of the episode now.
Yeah. Yes. And what we've like kind of learned from reality TV, what, you know, like obviously people that aren't in the industry, like we weren't, you kind of have these preconceived notions. You have this idea of how things happen and stuff like that. But then you get actually in the middle of it, in the thick of it, and like, oh, okay, this is what it's like. So like early on, like how it all started was because of our blog, It's a Buzzworld. Within just a matter of a few months, like from us just doing belly photos like once a week and then giving friends and family like updates of like, we created this blog because we're in Texas now and we were born and raised in Louisiana. Most of our friends and family were back home in Louisiana. So us here in Texas, we're kind of on this island. And we just couldn't keep up. Once everybody found out we were pregnant with quintuplets, we just could not keep up with the amount of
people asking
phone calls and text
yeah.
messages and Facebook messages and like all this kind of stuff.
And then the chain, it's like playing telephone. Like you tell, let me give you an update to my mom and your mom and dad. And then it's like you tell your sisters and then they go share. And it's like now the story's a little bit different, but not in a bad way. It's just not just exactly the same. And
it's kind of like the podcast now. Like this is like us in our own words for people to get like the information from the source. And like, we're like, man, there's got to be a better way. So we looked into it. We created this blog. It's a Buzzworld. And so once a week we would
let's break down It's a Buzzworld. Like, do you remember us coming up with the blog name?
Yeah, we were.
Do you remember what the other one was that we decided from? We had two. Adam has always been called Buzz.
Yeah.
Busby. And I don't know. We just started calling him Buzz. And so he's Uncle Buzz. He's Buzz.
Yeah. I have uncles that were nicknamed Buzz, like in the oil and gas industry and stuff like that. It was like on their Nomex, whatever. And then, naturally, just because of my last name, people would just call me Buzz. Yeah, I forget what there was a few different names, but
we came down to two.
And so then we put it up in like a group chat with family. Like hey,
which ones do you like?
We're looking at making this blog. We're trying to figure out the name for it, and then so we kind of put it to a vote between us and family. And then that's what it landed on was It's a Buzzworld.
Meaning Buzz, this is his world of girls. It's just like, it's great. It's funny.
Yeah. So, this is my life. I'm going to be completely outnumbered.
Which really, I was really the author of most of the blogs and everything. I mean, you did a couple here and there, but it's a Buzzworld from my perspective.
Yeah. Like I would take the photos.
But I took it. Yeah.
She would write the post or whatever and just kind of give the updates of everything the doctor said that week. And
it also became like a therapeutic.
Yeah.
Like
just talk
just
through
thinking
the
that no one's going to like see this or whatever. And like journaling in a sense. And this was before like
social media had really got that big.
Instagram wasn't,
Instagram
Facebook, it was Facebook.
Instagram was like in its early stages. And so like Instagram wasn't even much. People were putting like these weird, ugly photos that are ugly filters on them and stuff. And everything just looked oversaturated and just weird. And nobody really knew what to do with Instagram yet. Most everything was just Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we'd post the blog posts and we'd just share it. We created a Facebook page for It's a Buzzworld, which is still there. And, we just put like family updates and stuff now and like YouTube videos and stuff. Within about 3 or 4 months, the blog had well over like 400 million views and just went viral. I mean, that's crazy to think like just a website, a blog site to get that many kind of views. And so, over the course of just a few months, just crazy growth on the blog.
What's interesting is that this was before like knowing that this is the first all girl Quints in America before, like there were so many things that before the TV show, like the blog is really what brought attention to, I guess.
And really it wasn't like nowadays people will create like a social media account, like with the expectation of wanting it to go viral or get big. And,
that wasn't
I'm going to be like an influencer and stuff like that. That was like way before the influencer days.
Oh, for sure.
And so like that wasn't our intention at all. That our intention of it was completely just, hey,
update the family.
We can't keep up with all these people, and keep everybody's story straight. Because like we would hear back from people and they're like, oh, I heard blah, blah, blah. And we're like, no, that's not how it's going. and so we're like, well, we need a better way of doing this. And so the blog happened and just it blew up and we were like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden we started getting all these messages and stuff from these production companies and movie studios and TV studios and daytime talk shows. And like all these people were like, what the heck? And so
actually I had zero knowledge of any of that stuff going on.
I mean, I handled all at that time for sure. Like I handled like all the emails and all the back end stuff on the website. And
I was eating.
Yeah, she was just trying to eat and feed the babies. And so, here I am like, while, I'm also have this full-time job, like just in my free time, like I would just kind of scan through all these messages and try to get back to people or whatever. And, So, I mean, it was probably no less than probably 50 or 60 production companies that were like reaching out from all over the world. It wasn't just US based. And so you're totally naive to this industry and like what to believe and what people are telling you. And, they're like promising you because they want you to sign with them. So they're just like promising you all kind of crazy stuff and like, oh, we're going to get you this and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to throwing stuff at you. And you're just like, what the heck? And so scheduled a few phone calls and emailed a lot of people back and forth or whatever. But then ultimately it was a phone call that I had one day with, we call him Uncle Brad. And I had this conversation with this guy that runs this production company. He was already shooting a TV show here in Houston for a TV show called Life Flight. And it follows the medevac life flight helicopters at Memorial Hermann. And super cool show. Like I even like looked into it or whatever. And it was a neat show, super entertaining and stuff. And so, just had a few conversations with him. And I just got this different vibe from him that he would, he was more of like family oriented and I felt like I could trust this guy. And so, which led to like more and more conversations with him. And then ultimately we kind of said yes, after a few conversations with each other. I think you had
conversation with him before I even.
Yeah. I had talked to him a few times before you even introduced me to. Yeah. Like told her what was going on.
Remember that guy I was telling you about? Like, we're going to do a FaceTime with him. Like, what? I'm like super pregnant.
That's the point.
But
so, ultimately we ended up scheduling a meeting and stuff. And then
we just connected well with him. And I think that was,
any reality TV show or any new TV show starts with like a sizzle reel to like kind of give like a proof of concept to shop around to TV
who you
networks.
are, how you are on TV.
What you look on TV, family dynamics and stuff like that. And so, we kind of nailed down like, okay, the show is going to be about this, just our story and just like how we're going from this family of 2 to now a family of 3, me, Danielle, and Blake, to all of a sudden family of 8 overnight, and just how we were going to adapt and overcome all these like crazy scenarios that, we're going to find ourselves in, and just all the drama around that. Initially, we thought, man, nobody's going to watch this. But selfishly, we were like, but at the very least, we don't think anybody's going to watch this, but at the very least, it's like a free documentary for us to have forever of just like the first maybe couple years of the kids' lives, just so that, we'll always have this and we'll always be able to look back on it. And that's pretty awesome. And then somebody else doing it. So I don't have to foot the bill and I don't have to do all the work. And so also about just because of our faith and stuff like that, it's God gives everyone a story to tell. And that's what we believe. God gives everyone a story, and he uses those stories to be able to help other people in whatever situation. Obviously, not everybody in the world is going to have quintuplets, but there's going to be situations in our life and stuff that we go through that will speak to other people. And we're like, well, that's good. We should do that. And this could be something that could help people that have struggled with infertility, people, new parents, like all kind of stuff. We agreed to it. And then so we started the process of filming this like sizzle reel. And it was just only going to be like a 10 or 15 minute video of just what we look like on camera, dynamics
about the family,
dynamics between us, other family members that would probably be on regularly. And so we started shooting that very early on. He just kind of followed us. He was a fly on the wall. He just kind of followed us through, day-to-day life over the course of like a couple weeks. And then it was Blake's 4th birthday party at the hospital. He also did a bunch of like Zoom interviews since we had the whole family together in one location. We set up a computer and he recorded a bunch of Zoom interviews between each family of our family, just so that you could see all of them on camera. He could ask them some questions and stuff, and just get a better feel for like family dynamics and what people were going to be like on camera. And then at that point, it was kind of a waiting game until the Quints were born. We knew we wanted to film that as well. Then the babies were born. We filmed the birth, and then he would come back from time to time, like maybe a couple times here and there while we were in the NICU, because we were in the NICU for 3 months. And so like not really a lot was going on other than just,
well, and there was like a lot of restrictions and stuff. And I think we were able to
every day and stuff like that.
Like get some footage and stuff from the birth and like just that day, but maybe once or maybe twice.
Yeah. I mean, there was some highlights that we definitely wanted to capture, you know, just a few moments of just being in the NICU and the babies being in the NICU and just like our thought process through that. And then also like once the babies started coming home, then they wanted to capture that for sure. And then hopefully, you know, we were settled. He had been able to use enough of that footage, the family interviews, the birth, to be able to kind of clip together a sizzle reel so that hopefully by the time that the kids were ready to come home from the NICU, we would already be signed with a network, and you know we would have a show.
Like
it happened
months after that.
It happened almost towards the end of the NICU stay. We were signed with TLC before we left the NICU.
No,
because
I do not remember any of that.
we had all kind of conversations and stuff with, you know, other networks and stuff that were very interested, and it almost became like a bit of a bidding war between networks. Like there was a lot of interest around a few different networks, and some networks honestly like offering, you know, more episodes for the first season, and you know, some networks saying, oh, we'll make you the headline show to the network, this will be awesome, blah blah blah. But we knew ultimately like the best place for our TV show to land, for it to be as much of a success as possible, would be TLC, because that's just, at that time, that's the majority of the shows like ours would have been, or ours was, had been on TLC. This is kind of, I mean, our show was on TLC for 10 years. And so a lot's changed over the last 10 years. At that time, for sure, that was the best place for it. And so we were holding out. We're like, no, like, let's like hold out. We're not going to tell these people yes. We'll wait to see what TLC would say. And, you know, TLC was coming back with like other offers, and they're like, oh, we'll do a special. And then if that special does well, we'll come back and like do a revisit. And if that does well, then yeah, maybe we might think about it. But they weren't, you know, they probably knew that we knew that this was the best place for the show. And at the time, that was like the best place. So we were holding out with all these other networks that were just ready to go. You know, we were waiting, and, you know, TLC was keeping their cards to their chest. And then all the craziness with, at the time,
Another Family,
19 Kids and Counting was like the number one show on TV. And then everybody knows that all the craziness that happened like surrounding that original show and what all transpired. But TLC had to like put that show on hiatus because of just some controversy and stuff going on. And so whenever all that stuff hit the news, that's whenever we got the phone call. I mean, right about the time we got the phone call, and they were like, we'll do it, because they needed a show to replace it. Ultimately, that ended up coming back with like Counting On and stuff and following the Daughters. But that kind of gave us our break. And, you know, we first season ended up coming back and in a sense replacing the biggest show on the network. And so, I mean, that was a blessing for us, even though it was like a crazy situation. You know, we had the babies. I mean, all the craziness with all the talk shows and stuff happening, TV show following us through that. You know, you heard the story of like all the kids kind of staggering home from the NICU. And then like once we got the babies home, then it was like full on like, okay, we're filming a TV show. And early on, it was just like capture everything. And because you just never know what was going to happen, because like we're just, okay, so we'll capture everything. We're shooting like 6 days a week. And it was a very small crew because, you know, it's just first season of a show. They want to like prove that it's going to take off. And so we were originally signed for like 4 episodes for the first season.
I don't know how you remember all that.
4 1-hour episodes. No, it originally was going to be like 8 30-minute episodes. And then as we were filming and stuff, and as they were starting to put these episodes together, the network had changed things. And they were like, well, our episodes are actually working better. And so we're going to change it from 8 30-minute episodes. We're changing the format of all of our shows to hour episodes. And so they ended up being, first season was 4 1-hour episodes. And so, I mean, really, it was just, I mean, honestly, it was just us surviving. and
Well,
and
it was
then
all
them
a
just
new-
being fly on the wall.
It was all a new phase of life all at one time. I mean, it was like becoming parents and filming all at the same time. So it's not like we knew really any different from either or, because it all came together like in a package almost.
Yeah, we didn't have the babies home, and then all of a sudden, like, we're adding something else. So it was just like
all at the same time.
All was here at the same time. And so it was just like, oh, this is like our new life. Filming a show while these babies are home, while we're just trying to figure it out.
A lot of it was the little that I do remember. I mean, I remember very, very little from the whole first year, but it really was just not a lot of dialogue moments in a sense until having to put footage and figure out what we're doing in an episode together, right?
Yeah.
Because we didn't know what was going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I remember. I just don't remember, like, I mean, as the seasons got on and you knew, it's like, oh, okay, like, so this week we're filming this episode, these or next 2 weeks, this is what we're filming. And, you know, we're hoping to capture these things. And so you kind of would get a glimpse, but in the very beginning, it was like, oh, I didn't know what we're doing. My goal was keep babies surviving.
And they're kind of like, there was no real specific like episode outline at the beginning because you just didn't know. You didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know where everything was going to settle out. So they're just like capturing everything. Like, we're going to just capture everything and then start going back through footage and like, okay, like this is a storyline. This is a storyline. And then, you know, they'd come back like a few weeks later and like, okay, like, you know, we've kind of developed this storyline because of this is what's going on. And so then, you know, we'd start kind of focusing down a little bit on like, okay, we're going to film this particular thing and this. And so it got more organized as we went. But at first it was just like,
I have a question for you.
Big Brother.
Yeah. Even though it really wasn't, because it wasn't, but I know that it's not something we ever would have seen our life in or where our life would be as we were, you know, wanting to become parents. And then you think and look back down this line that we've lived last 10 years to having quintuplets and then the TV show. Do you think that if you were more well-rounded around like how media and TV and production, everything works, that it would have been the same response in a sense in the beginning?
Yeah, I think we would have still done it, but we would have just, I mean, obviously you only know what you know. So it's hard to go back and like, oh, we would have done that different, or I wouldn't have said yes to this or whatever. But you just, you know what you know at the time. So like, I don't regret anything. It's, I
mean, in the beginning,
it's just at the very beginning, we were just naive to like, okay, how does this even work? You know, whenever you watch a reality television show, you like see, you know, whenever they cut to like a couch interview and you're like, well, how does that work? Because, and you're using those couch interviews to like weave the story. And then you realize, oh, that's not even, I mean, for us, because the house is full of babies.
We lived 8 people in a 1,700 square foot 3-bedroom house.
There's no way that you could do the couch interviews in the house with the babies here making noises and crying and stuff. You'd never get through an interview. So like, how's that going to work? And so we'd have to do it.
Which was the story of a lot of filming. We can't get anything done because there's always interruptions.
Yeah, there's constantly interruptions.
Like when you put Adam and Danielle in a scene together, it never gets accomplished.
Things are just completely happen, just unplanned. And a lot of episodes were like that. Like we would be filming a specific thing and then something crazy would happen. All the time. And then it creates this whole new storyline.
Yeah. And then the 10, 12 days that we were planning on filming this one episode now is taking 16, 18 days because
you just developed so many other sub storylines.
Well, and just because there's 5 babies, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like a baby gets sick. All of a sudden, like Danielle's off at the hospital. So there's only like so much they can film. You know, they'll film a little bit of content of me with the kids at home and then a little of her at the hospital or whatever. But then like whenever you're just kind of waiting, I mean, cameras just have to go down and like you're just like in a stall pattern. So you just never really truly know what's going to happen. But that first season, it was right whenever Nick and Ashley first started Heist Hair Bar. And
this is the
no, it was before that. It was before the hair salon. So like me and Nick used
the hair salon
that building as our office. And then they were thinking about, we were officing out of that building, and then our company ended up getting bought out and stuff like that. And so we were going to end up moving buildings anyway. So this building was vacant. Nick and Ashley were thinking about starting this hair salon. And so it was like vacant for a little bit. So we just had this free space there. And so we were filming.
They were in the process of remodeling it though.
And so we were doing all of our couch interviews in the kitchen at our old office. And that was interesting.
Something I bet you never knew.
And so, and they would set up and stage the background, look like we're kind of in a nursery or whatever. And so there's just like all these props or whatever that just never get touched, because whenever you're doing a couch interview, I mean, just imagine if we shot that in our house, like how every single little thing gets touched and moved and whatever. Like you could never get it. You could use an interview on this episode, this episode. You couldn't weave episodes together because things in the background were constantly moving around and stuff. And, like, people don't think about that. And like, that's whenever you realize, because it's done at a different location that never changes. And so,
but not all reality shows are that way. Like some,
a lot of reality shows nowadays are done with a green screen.
Yeah, they're all different now. But back 10 years ago, it was. I mean, if they would do like some, there was times they would do like, well, Crystal Dill didn't live here then. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different world of like understanding TV, of like how something is created and put together. Like, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work.
And there's so many things that you don't think about. Like whenever we're filming something and we're walking through a location, we got accustomed to it because we were doing it every day. But like whenever friends or family members would come in and film with us for a scene, it was just like the little things that people don't think about. Like whenever you're walking through a house and you walk into a new room, like immediately, we would walk into a room and we stop and we turn around and walk back out, because now the cameras have to go ahead of us and catch the other angle of us walking back into the room. Before,
because the cameras filming us walking in would see the cameraman on the other side. So
a lot of times, like our friends would be like following us and we're talking, and then me and Danielle just stop and then turn around and walk back out, and they're like, what's going on?
And then what's funny is that the girls would get older and they're like, are we going to have to walk through that again?
Yeah.
Do we have to do that 2 times? And a lot of it, as they got older, it was like they learned too. Like you walk, you stop, you wait for the camera to come ahead of you, and then you walk back out to walk back in so they see you coming through the door. It's interesting. But then a lot of it, the girls grew up with this around. And so, teaching them and like how they would learn, like how the YouTube channel worked, like to see them on TV on OutDaughtered, like them understanding, like, if they held a GoPro, like you have to film it to be able to see it, watching them kind of like that click to them over time was cool to see. And then understand
and then they'd
that.
Get to the point where like they always wanted to carry a camera, and they always wanted to talk to a camera, because we would have a YouTube channel where we go on like little family adventures, or we would just film fun activities or whatever. Early on, it was just me holding the camera or whatever. But then as they got older, it just became cool, because then they would want to hold the camera and talk to the camera and stuff and carry it around or whatever. Usually it was like Blair Witch, and it was like hard to edit that footage. But it's just all the things that go into filming a reality TV show that you don't think about until you truly like start thinking about it. Like even, the car scenes, everything that goes into like filming a car scene, especially with a full family, and like getting all the angles
and all the GoPros,
all the angles of the kids and across all 4 seats of the car and stuff like that, and like syncing up audio with cameras and stuff. And so like camera operators and stuff have to go out and like rig the car 30 minutes before we leave anywhere, because they got to set all the GoPros on like suction cups to the windows.
Do it too far ahead of time or too little, because they'll go dead. And
because there's been so many car rides where we just film till the cameras go dead, and then once you start hearing all the cameras start beeping, you're like, okay, we don't have to film anymore.
But don't you remember on some, like towards the end of like filming, they had like a little snippet of like some of like the footage of like the lost footage.
Yeah.
And it was like how many times the girls actually would like turn the cameras off. It was so funny. I was like, I would just love to see.
I mean, just imagine like you have 5 little girls that are like just kind of super curious and
but
like
how
just
much
can't keep their hands off of things.
I wonder how many times
here they are. They get in this car and there's this camera with a red flashing light on, and they just kind of walk up, or they'll say they'll say something goofy, and then they just start pressing buttons.
Yeah,
and they just kill
like
the
how
thief.
many times like Joelle or like somebody else got in trouble because that camera didn't catch what they needed to.
They didn't catch the right angle,
and it's because a Quint pressed it or turned a button or whatever.
They'll go back and look at the footage, and it's just like a little kid just turning it off. And they're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's so much that goes into it, like all the little things and the couch interviews and stuff that you never truly think about until like, oh yeah, like that makes sense why that has to happen. And it gives you like a completely different perspective on just like how things are edited and put together, and and just to make a show work properly where it actually looks presentable on TV, you have to think about all the crazy angles and stuff, and even like editing or whatever. Now, like whenever we watch a reality TV show, I mean, like immediately, like we'll never look at a reality TV show the same, because like you'll be watching something, you're like, oh, that wasn't done in real time, or that was a reshoot or whatever, because you can like see it immediately. Because there's been times like on our show where, we were filming an episode and there was like seasons, inevitably their electronics or whatever, like a camera would have like a corrupt card, and they wouldn't know until, because every single day after we film, they upload and catalog all the footage amongst all the different camera angles. And then they either put it on a drive and literally put it on an airplane seat.
I don't think people care about this much detail.
And people in LA will meet the airplane there and get the drive off the airplane, because every single day that stuff has to be cataloged. And people are sitting in our garage, every single, like court reporters sitting in our garage with headphones on, listening to the live feed of everything that we're saying and writing everything down and just giving like minute by minute, like everything that's happening, so that the editors in LA can like kind of scan through and like see like all the high points of, oh yeah, like let's find that footage or whatever, whenever they said this or whatever. It was inevitable, like because their electronics and stuff, a card or whatever would get corrupted, and we would lose like an entire angle, or we would lose some like audio or whatever.
Or simple things too, like, we typically had like 2 to 3 cameras filming, and which was fine, like I would say at a point in time. And then it's like you kind of needed more.
Yeah.
And when our,
whenever the girls
16,
were more
17
mobile,
of us are all together, you need more cameras. But sometimes there wasn't always a camera, because there wasn't, 50 cameras around.
Yeah.
Where it didn't capture Crystal doing this or whatever. So it'd be like, oh, wait. Can you re-say that again? And let me get it on camera so that it can be used, because not everything, if you think about like you're holding your phone.
Yeah. Sometimes we have way more family members than cameras. And so like they would miss an angle.
Yeah, miss an angle. And so you would be like, oh, wait, hang on. Let's do that one more time.
But then there was those times where like they would just like, there would be like a corruption in the footage or whatever. And months later, whenever post would say, hey, like we're going to use this scene for the show, but we're going to have to do a reshoot and we're going to have to like clip this together and make it work, because like we wanted to use this part of the footage, but we don't have this angle anymore. And so we need to reshoot this so that we catch this angle, so there would always be like little things that would happen, and, it would never get perfect because things change, things in the house get moved, things get lost.
That was always fun. We grew out of that. We were over that. I got rid of it.
Yeah. And so there would be things like people would catch. It's crazy. People that watch our show that like pay attention to the smallest minute details of like
what was in the background,
or the color of Danielle's fingernails, or like, every little thing. And so like, those few times that we would have to do like a reshoot or whatever, and all of a sudden like it cuts to this other angle, and then all of a sudden Danielle's fingernails are a different color, or there's something moved like on a
people are
credenza
so
in
out
the
there
background.
To pick out what's not real.
And so then they're like, oh, the show's so fake, blah blah blah. I'm like, no, it wasn't fake. It's just like we had to reshoot this moment
Yeah.
and to make it all make sense, because at the way that we had it, it didn't make sense because we were missing the angle. And so we would have to go and like
But that's
reshoot
to
those
say-
moments to like fix the dialogue and be able to tie everything in together.
But I do think that other reality shows, they are not in the same. It's different. So like when we watch Housewives or like all this, like I can tell you I can just
pretty much every bit of that's fake.
I know I can just pinpoint when people, and I'm like, oh, I already can tell you with this whole thing how this was done, how this, like everything. So we can see things through other reality shows, not so much to say the word fake, but to say, I understand how they came around to capturing this, or what could have probably happened to be able to have this scene, or certain things like that.
Yeah, because like a lot of scenes, like you're watching on TV, not our show or whatever, and you're like, there's no way they could have captured that in real time. Yeah. Like just the way that things happen, like it would have to have been like already premeditated or already knew it was going to happen to be able to capture that. And so, I mean, you just have a completely different perspective of just whenever you're just watching everyday TV or reality TV or whatever. When it comes
to like, oh, what was fake? We honestly never had like, this is fake, honestly, because it was hard enough trying to figure out life and film it and figuring it all out all at the same time, right? So to be fake would be that much harder to then just doing what we knew what to do.
Yeah.
However, I think when people reference like fake or something, and I'm saying this about like OutDaughtered, like our show, like it's more so about being put in scenarios or a place or a situation that may not have happened today or may not have happened. So lots of times there would have been footage captured, or, you know, they would see us in a sense, this happened in the family, but it wasn't what we were filming today. It just happened. So then like a month later, they're like, hey, y'all remember whenever this would be great to add into like this episode. And it's like,
but now we need something to be able to tie it to that.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's not that it was fake. It just may not have happened right at that exact moment.
Or like, you know, we would develop a new storyline, but in order to tie that together, they would have to put us into a situation like, hey, we need y'all to go to dinner somewhere, and somewhere in the conversation that y'all are having at this dinner, you mention this so that we can use that to tie this together or whatever. And so they would put us in certain situations so that you could make an episode make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't that
situation might not be the best word for that, but I would say like in a setting.
Yeah. In a setting.
Yeah. That's a setting.
So it was, you know, like I would never say like any part of our show was fake, but there was things that we would.
But people on the outside would understand it as fake if you're having to reshoot or if you have to do this 4 times. Because people like, if we're out in public and you're
produced.
like, it's produced. If you're out in public and you see us walk through a door and then we stop, all the people in the restaurant and all see us, and then we go back and then we come to it and they're like, oh, how many times do they have to do this?
Yeah.
You know, it looks on the outside like fake, but it's like, I guarantee you every time it's captured, it's different. Yeah. Sorry, these kids weren't in the same row as how we walked in, because I don't know what that was, and they're not going to like abide by that. They're 2, you know. But I would say it's been an interesting experience. It's been beautiful. It's been extension of our family dynamics of just like the crew that we had with us. It's also been extremely hard, extremely exhausting. You know, weight bearing, but a lot of beauty from a lot of it, and a lot of experiences that we were able to, you know, do as a family and have with our kids. And those are all bonuses of it. And
I feel like we're going to have to like revisit this whole topic probably multiple times just to kind of talk through like different episodes or whatever, different experiences that we've had, and just kind of give it from like a reality TV perspective, because obviously, you know, the show blessed us in so many ways, like give us like opportunities to like go places and do things that we would have never been able to do with like a family of 8, because, you know, it's TV and it's got to be interesting. It's got to like catch people or whatever. So, you know, we got to do some really cool stuff.
And I mean, can we like if you think about it in the world of how the media and all that stuff works, is the more popular something gets, the more advertisement wants to go around it, which means more money, which means they're going to have more money to pour into the episode, which means they can now say, hey, we have the budget to do this, or we have the budget to do that. And so everything is not so much like, this is specific. Not everybody wants to see the Busby sit in their living room for 4 episodes. It's like, we need to be out and about and see what life is like with this, which we always had done. That's part of it too. So you see things get grander within episodes and vacations or whatever. It's because that's not because of like necessarily because of us, but there has to be a story about why are we going here? Like, because you can't say, oh, because the budget is this and this is what we can do now. It's either this or this. It's like, you can't do that.
And there was so many trips that we would go on that weren't show related, that we were like, hey, we're going here.
Yeah.
Like, you want to film this or whatever? And they're like, yeah, but why? Like, why are you going there? I'm like, well, because we just want to go as a family.
Because we like experiences and like to go do things.
They were like, well, we can't really use that because like, why did we go there? Like, we don't have, we can't just like make an episode because y'all went somewhere just because y'all went.
Just because it's the weekend.
Just because y'all wanted to go. We're like,
well, and also too, there's a lot of approval. We would get
so frustrated. We're like, no, we're actually doing this. It'll be like great content. And they're like, yeah, we know it'll be great content, but like, why did y'all go?
How does this apply to the episodes?
How does this apply to the season? And they would look at it from that perspective. And they're like, well, how would we
because that takes a lot of money to.
How would we tie this into like a storyline or whatever? And then we have to write a whole new story around like why y'all went there.
But also there's
we'd have to do all this other stuff to tie that in. And
there's a whole other production side of it too. That's a lot of work. Yeah. Like, we're going to go. Do y'all want to come? It's not as easy as like, let's bring a camera.
Yes, logistically,
like, it's difficult with approvals. And
our footprint's so big. Like, us as a family, like, we're going here. But then like, if we're actually going to bring the TV show there,
you're talking
and film there,
50 people now.
You know, you gotta get lawyers involved and like location agreements and like get with, you know, any kind of entities that are there. Like if you're going to like a water park or whatever, then you got to get like
insurance and
their corporate people involved, and then they got to clear. You know, so it's just like all these things that have to take place before we film somewhere.
So I feel like we've been talking about this for a while, so it might be time to wrap it up. But I will say the one thing that I think people perceive. And I'll say this from our own experience. I'm speaking for our own self. I'm not like I can't speak on the other grandness of a lot of the other shows, but I would say a lot of people perceive, oh, your life is so easy. Yeah. It was not. And it still isn't. I mean, it's hard.
We've seen so many of those comments of like,
and it's like,
oh yeah, it must be nice. Like y'all can just go on all these free trips and do all this stuff. Blah. Like, you don't realize the amount of work and the amount of hours while we're, okay, say we take a Disney vacation. Like for us, like we're on the whole time. And, you know, so we may be at Disney, but we're not necessarily doing all the things that our kids want to do all day long. We're like doing stuff that like Disney wants to show. But we're also making sure the kids are doing what they want to do. Yeah. And so like, so then we're just trying to figure it out. Like, oh, so like we'll film this scene here, but we got to film this like later on in the day. So now we have a little bit of family downtime so that, you know, we can hurry up and go like do all these other things that the kids wanted to check off their list or whatever. So we'll like squeeze all those things in just to make sure that like the kids are like truly getting everything in that they want to do there. But, you know, there's specific things that like we just have to film while we're there that, you know, it's work. But I would like to dive into like another episode on a little bit more like the personal entity of like the emotional roller coasters through it, and like where our stance was with like how we, you know, what our rules were with filming and what it was like behind the scenes as far as like with our children and just restrictions and stuff that we set in ourselves, and like what are recommendations stuff that we like learned over time. No, but also we've had people reach out to us and be like, hey, I've got, you know, this show, like possibility, like what are recommendations you have for us? Like y'all did this for so long. What are, you know, so just kind of sharing some of those like,
hey, here's some tips and things that I would make sure that you're doing before stepping into that, and things to ask and things to protect yourself with, and like all those things.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we could do a lot of episodes on like different aspects of like just reality TV life, and like, you know, what vacations are like, what it's like whenever we're just a day to day, like what's a day look like, day in the life of like just filming a reality show, or just all the things that like we learn.
Plus, a lot of the shows now that are on reality TV are more free to kind of share more behind the scenes, and it just wasn't like that 10 years ago.
Yeah,
you weren't really able to really do a lot of that.
Yeah, we would be filming
a lot of shows.
We would be filming on location somewhere, and like you dang near couldn't take your phone out and like film or take a photo here, because like the network was always scared to death that like we would post it that we're here, and that got a lot more lax like as seasons went on, because then obviously like our following and stuff grew, and it only kind of helped the show. You know, it kind of builds like some anticipation, but there was a lot of things that like we would do that we weren't allowed to talk about like until like for months and months later. And it would suck because like, you know, it would be like really cool experiences for us. And like I'm capturing, you know, because I'm a photographer and stuff, and you're capturing like all these just awesome moments with the kids, and, you know, capturing life from their perspective, and capturing all this wonder, you know, in their eyes and stuff. And you just want to share it because it's like so cool. And then you can't post it for like months, and like 6 months later or something like that, whenever the show's going to come on. And so you would have to like save like all this footage and all these photos for whenever the episode airs. And,
I mean, I think that...
And then I'd end up forgetting about like the photos that I took of that event or whatever.
Yeah. Anyways, I think this was maybe hopefully insightful to a little bit of backstory of some of what...
Yeah. And I feel like it only like cracks the surface on like...
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of just like...
But I would like to... next episode or a future episode, kind of talk about like the mental load. They put a bow on the dog. What that world is really like in our own perspective, from our experience. But yeah, I mean, I think that no matter what, if there is some type of, we never have been the people that sought out to be famous.
Yeah.
I think that God always had us in view of some form of platform, which I can say now, but back then I wouldn't have known any different, because it's something I never would have thought would have ever happened to us. You know, I'm just this girl from Lake Charles who had a bunch of kids and now has a TV show. Like, that's just weird to even say, you know?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that might come your way, and they could be good, but they could also be self-driven towards something that like maybe you tried to do, which is not necessarily God's plan. And I would say that I think we truly feel that things fell in order in a purposeful way. And no matter what, there was something that was always learned from an experience. Even the hard, the good, there was something that we received from that. And above all, we've always felt like sharing our story is powerful, no matter what the story was. I think that we're thankful for the platform. And I just pray that we can continue to use it for the purpose of glorifying the kingdom. And that's like where the heart is. And that you might not hear it in every perfect word, like I'm the perfect Christian, because there's no perfect Christian. But the goal...
And when you were just talking about earlier about saying the F word.
Because you threw a roach on me. And I did preface with saying, I don't ever say this Christian word.
I love Jesus, but I cuss a little.
But I was like, I don't ever really say this word, but that day I did. It's okay. We all falter. That's why we have Jesus. Anyway, so just, I hope that we can continue, and that we have people in our life to hold us accountable for the things that we do and say. So I feel like, you know, even on this platform of being real and more than reality, the goal is to be raw and real, but also to not, we don't want to bash. We don't want to like hurt people's feelings. We don't want to like call people out. Like, we're not here to gossip and be unruling in a sense. We're here to just be open and real, and to kind of have a dialogue of like sharing our hearts, but also to be wise with the words that we share, and know that the platform is purposeful and we want to be able to use it purposefully.
Yeah.
So
I'm
going to find something that Adam is scared of, and I'm going to let y'all know when that is.
not scared.
Scare him. I know. Dang it. I'm going to find something.
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely we're going to revisit this episode and dive deeper into like some subtopics of, just like reality TV life and stuff, and, share some fun moments that we had, and kind of talk through the process of like how that came about, or like what that was really like. And then, but also like our mindset through certain things, and parenting through having a reality TV show and stuff like that, because that's something.
I think one thing that you have to like let sit with you is that you can either choose to, no matter what your life is, you can either choose to sit in misery or choose to find joy in it. And in the seasons of the hard, in the seasons of not wanting a camera in your face, or the days that you're just not feeling good or whatever, like you have to say, do I want to live miserably, or do I want to find joy in whatever I can today? And those are things that we had to do often, because that became like the purpose. Like we will find joy in whatever work that we are going to do. And I think that we've come a long way with trying to understand, like, Adam resigning from work and working at home and us always together. Like, it's just that changes your dynamic across a lot with always filming and always like, I was listening to the Bevere's podcast and she's like, there is no date night. It's a date night every night because we're always together.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's finding joy. So another word of encouragement to leave this podcast with is just like wherever you're at and whatever you're facing, just one little thing every day, just find joy in it, and remember that, write it down, and it'll help you for the next day when you're not feeling lifted and
good
positive.
Word.
So,
yeah.
Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. I got to run off to a parent meeting at school, so that'll be fun.
So this is More Than Reality. I think this is our 20th episode. So thanks for sticking around with us for
20 episodes.
20 episodes.
Oh God, what are we gonna do for 22?
I don't know.
Champagne. All right. Peace out, guys.
All right. Love you guys.